we're going to hone down into just friendships.
Yeah.
So, my question to start this off is, how does communication affect, just in generally, your friendships?
I feel like it's so important to communicate with your friends, even with your like you said, like business, romantic, whatever it is.
Hmm.
You can't neglect your friendships as well. Um because those are the people, just as your family, most of the times they're going to be the ones that's going to stay no matter what goes, whether your business goes, whether your romance goes.
Hmm.
um but I do think that it's harder to make time for that, if that makes sense, when you are in your adulthood, your adult ages, because you're not seeing each other all the time in school, or you're not seeing each other all the time on the block or around the neighborhood. Like you busy, you got stuff to do. So I just feel like you really have to kind of like be intentional about it. And be intentional with your check-ins, and intentional with like just being there, and like being that listening ear, I guess.
Yeah, I really like the word you said, intentionality in
Yeah.
understanding what kind of friendship you have.
Hmm.
So, communication is going to play a big role in any kind of friendship, whether that is a deep friend, a close friend, or just an acquaintance.
Hmm.
But communication is going to play a heavy role in that. So, not only do we have to be aware of how we best communicate ourselves, but how does the person we're communicating to, how they best receive information. Is it best through text? Is it best through email? Is it best through meeting up in
Calls.
person,
Yeah.
calls? All that plays a big role in elevating your connection with said person,
Yeah.
right? So I feel like it first takes awareness of yourself. Before you start doing anything with anybody,
Yeah.
you have to know yourself and how
Hmm.
you best communicate or where you're lacking in.
Yeah.
So that takes time to
Yeah.
understand yourself.
And I know for me, I'm not the friend that, I don't like phone calls. I don't really like FaceTime. There's very, 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 very few, a very few amount of people that I actually like talking on the phone with, and can do so for more than like 5 or 10 minutes, unless it's like a serious situation.
You be
Like,
you be looking at the call and like
yeah,
ignoring Tommy's call, Ryan called,
I'm that
Jasmine's
person.
call, like
I'm that person.
yeah.
Like, I don't text me first. Like, if you want to, it's so crazy. Like, you really have to like set up an appointment with me to like have a phone call sometimes. Like, I really have to mentally prepare for a phone call. There's so much there's so much energy that goes into like being on the phone to me,
Yeah.
and I just really hate it. It's so much easier to either pull up on me, or to just text me, like, or send a voice memo, or like that's my compromise, voice memos. But like phone calls, it's just a lot. I get a lot of anxiety from it. I really don't know why, but I'm not that phone
And
call person.
and that's the thing that works for Jameson.
Hmm.
Jameson, don't call me. Don't don't call me. You better
But I
text
text you though.
better text me.
Yeah.
Don't even do the voice met. Don't like
I'll do it.
maybe.
I'll do a voice memo.
Okay, maybe the voice memo. For me, I'm like the opposite. I'm like more so call me. I enjoy phone conversations rather than texting.
Hmm.
Something quick over the phone or something, a little deeper over the phone. I enjoy that. I feel like I can connect a little more through voice calls, through conversation. But texting is okay. But for me, I'm not the best texter. So there's that. So I'm like more so call me, or I
Yeah.
like to meet in person.
Same. Yeah.
But
I
we're
feel like
busy.
meeting in person is very yeah, we're busy, but like I feel like it's very it's the most ideal option for me.
It's the most ideal. Most
Cause yeah.
Yeah, it's the most ideal option. Speaking of ideal, it would be great if we just all stayed in the same town that we grew up in high school and whatever, and nobody
Yeah.
went to different colleges and moved to different cities and states. How does moving away affect friendships, and how do we overcome that obstacle or change?
I think it depends on the friendship as far as overcoming it, but it definitely affects your friendships, any bond or relationship that you have with anybody. I feel like there's been countless times and like kind of like I moved so far away, like miles away, 2,000 miles away from like my hometown. So like of course there are friends that I still have there, but I will be honest with you. I can tell the friends that are intentional with like keeping in touch with me and like are intentional with checking in with me. I used to be the person that kind of like judges people if they didn't check in with me as much. I will say that in my younger years, in like my teen years. But on the contrary, now that I'm like in my it's just so hard to say. Now that I'm in my late
Go
20s,
ahead and say it, brother. Say it.
now that I'm in my late 20s,
Yeah,
I understand because life be life and there's shit that we got to do as just people in general and just as adults and just as business people and whatever. Like there's stuff that needs to be done. And I feel like I have to extend that grace because I understand, because I want that grace to be extended to me. I got
absolutely.
so many moving parts that's moving right now and just in life in general. And I just feel like I try my best, but sometimes I do fall short with certain relationships.
Absolutely. And I think there's an understanding between those relationships, right? So you may call it falling short, but as long as the friend knows you
Yeah.
and the friend knows your heart and they know what you're going through, and it just takes a little bit of understanding, grace, and communication that can prevent a lot of issues that tend to happen between friends,
Yeah.
right? So when I think of high school, when I think of college, when I think of grad school, these are all different times in my life. There's a lot of change, a lot of movement, right?
Yeah.
So I think the effort and intentionality elevates each time in order to pour into those relationships, those friendships that you value, right? So you have to take time to think about, okay, these are my core friends. These are my close friends. And
Yeah.
I really want to continue to grow these relationships despite graduating, despite not seeing each other in the lunchroom or in class, etc. Then
Yeah.
you have your associates that you're really cool with. You dap up every time. You
Mhm.
look in the eye and say, "That's my boy. That's my girl."
Mhm.
But, it's really nothing other than that. It's still love at the end of the day, but the intentionality is not the same as it is with your close friends. So
Yeah.
you have to be aware of that and move accordingly to say, okay, I'm going to pour a little bit more into the friends who I'm really close with. That might be two or three rather than
Mhm.
the 10 who I talk to.